Hello. So, something that I really want to touch on today. I did a video. I'm not sure which one I'm going to be putting up first, but I did one not long ago on why you could be doing everything nutrition-wise and fitness-wise and still not seeing the scale go down. And there is a difference first that I want to put out between weight and fat. So, there's your weight, which is your relationship to gravity, and then there's your actual fat mass. Now, one other thing that I really want to differentiate is that your starting point. So, are you starting from higher up on the weight range, like more of an overweight type person, or are you starting off more as someone that just has like skinny fat or excess body fat, but they're not like overweight or overly obese or in that higher end category? Because the more over fat that you are, the more to that scale range that you are, the more of a change you're going to see on the scales. So, well, I should say depending, because then you do have to look into like somatotypes and body types, in that there are those that they have bigger builds and more muscle mass. So you can see someone who is, like, if you actually look at two different people about the same size, you can differentiate between, like, this is where ethnicity really comes into play a role, because you can see someone who literally looks like they just are a blob of extra fat compared to someone who looks like they're chunky and big, but a lot of what they have is muscle mass. So that's really important to differentiate as well. Like, for example, I know two girls, pretty much they look the same-ish with their sizes, but you can tell that one is holding a lot more muscle mass than the other one, who has that typical big torso and smaller legs, and they're holding a larger proportion of fat mass. Because you can, like, there's that sort of, those people that have like the bigger abdominal section, or they look like they have this rectangle with SpongeBob type legs. Like, there are those type of people, and then those that have the more built up build. Like, I'm not trying to say it in any bad way. I'm just going to say it that way. I'm just trying to say that it is easier for this person here than it is for this person here, in a way, to see changes on the scale, because this person here can just lose, like, they can focus on fat loss first, whereas this person will have a lot more of that. They can lose quite a substantial amount of fat and see a lot of changes in their body, but the weight on the scale won't reflect it as much, because muscle also tends to hold a lot more water, whereas an adipocyte or a fat cell doesn't hold anything but fat. So, like, I can easily go into how the whole, how people say that as soon as you lose fat, the fat cell fills up with water. That's completely bonk. It does not happen. But I can go into that into another video. But I just wanted to differentiate those two things. So you can be in a calorie deficit and have the scales not go down. You can be in a calorie deficit and not see any weight loss. Now, you're probably thinking, what the fuck are you on about? Calorie deficit equals weight loss. No. Calorie deficit equals fat loss. But then there are times where calorie deficit does not equal fat loss. But there's also a difference between an assumed or a calculated calorie deficit and an actual freaking calorie deficit. Like, if you're in a calorie deficit and your weight isn't going down for 6 months or a year, you're not in a calorie deficit. But then, like, in between that time, if the scale isn't going down and you're actually in a calorie deficit, it could be things like you are a newbie and you're experiencing newbie gains. So you're probably in a slight calorie deficit, slowly losing the fat mass and putting on slight muscle mass. Because that does happen when you've come off from a large layoff from the gym and you're putting on the muscle mass. Or you could be like Sally Do over here, who has a bigger build with extra muscle mass, even though she looks the same as Sally Do over here with extra fat mass. And the muscle mass could be holding more water. There's that water retention, because that actually is a thing. And one thing I do really want to say here is that water retention is not enough to extend the scale doesn't or isn't going down kind of slogan for a few months. Like, yeah, that can be a case for 3-4 months, but if you're still not losing weight after 4-6 months and you're in a calorie deficit, then I will be really questioning if you're tracking everything, if you're sticking to your meal plan, if you're sneaking in snacks, treats, nibbles, if you're licking the butter spoon or the peanut butter spoon or the knife, or sneaking in the kids' crusts, or swapping dinner out for something else, not realizing that it's higher in calories, and doing it consistently, or even just once a week. It can throw off your calorie deficit by a lot, especially if your calorie deficit is small, because then there are people that if you put them in too large a calorie deficit, they're not going to be able to maintain it. So it's better being in a slight deficit, but then if you decide to swap something once or twice a week, that's going to take you out of that calorie deficit. So there are all things that you need to be aware of when assembling your plan or working with your coach as well. So that not only is underreporting and not tracking everything one of the biggest issues, which is what I talked about in my other video, which is much shorter than this one, but overestimating your expenditure. This is why I hate activity trackers, even though they are amazing things to keep you on track and to, like, I don't have one, I want one so I can track my heart rate. But if you're looking at activity trackers or any type of tracker for your calorie expenditure, then you're doing yourself a disservice, because those things, especially if you look at the ones on the treadmills and stuff like that, it is the most inaccurate thing that you can see. Because I know people that say, oh, but my Fitbit says that I'm burning 2,500 calories. I'm eating only 1,700 calories. Why am I not losing weight? Because you're not burning that much, love. Oh, but it says that I am, and it's not making sense. When's the last time you sat in a room with your Fitbit and you discussed everything from your stress to your previous diet history to what you do during a day to how intense the activity is that you're putting into your day to even if the steps are accurate? Like, what does your Fitbit know about you? Like, you don't have those discussions with your Fitbit. Like, it's bad enough trying to track or trying to estimate what your calories are with a calorie freaking calculator online is, when simply that's not the case. Like, if I don't even know what the thing would say for me, but if I know MyFitnessPal, for example, because I had to set up an account the other day so I could do something. But when I was putting in all my details and it gave me a thing back, it's like, you should be eating 1,400 calories a day to maintain your weight. Like, if that is the type of stuff that people believe is what helps them maintain their weight, and it is so far from accurate, then imagine what your like, the Fitbit probably, yeah, it tracks your heart rate, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to say is, how can you know what your true maintenance is, what your true deficit is, what your true surplus calories will be, when it doesn't know your past history? So when people come to me saying, what is the best calculator for tracking your maintenance calories or knowing when you're in a deficit or anything like that, you want to know what my answer is? It's put away MyFitnessPal. Put away, like, as in the calculators, not as in actual MyFitnessPal. Put away MyFitnessPal. Put away IIFYM calculators, whatever the calculators are there. Put them away. What I want you to do is take a food diary. Don't change anything because you're tracking now. Don't stop nibbling on stuff that you usually nibble on because you're tracking now you're aware. Track everything. Put it all down. Track that food diary for 3-4 days. If you're maintaining weight on that, those are your maintenance calories. Some people, they can add a few more, like, they can add about 100 more calories into their day, but those maintenance calories and still maintain. Others, they're not as flexible with their nutrition due to other, like, there are some people that have optimal health markers, optimal stress markers, sleep markers, recovery markers, everything is perfect. that their body just, you can add in an extra 100 calories and their bodies won't change too much. And then there are others that are in a more prone state where you just go a little bit over and it automatically puts them into a surplus. So monitor yourself over those for 5 days, including a weekend day, because a lot of the time our weekend habits aren't the same as our daily habits, our weekday habits. So once you have that, that is your maintenance. If you want to lose weight, start off by taking 300 calories a day out of that. 200, 300, depending what you can maintain. There are some people I say take 500 out of that for the week, and then put in, well, actually what I say is take 500 out of that for the week, and then for the extra 1,000 calories, add them over the weekend for 500 calories extra each day. That's what I do for macro clients if they like overeating in those periods. But most of the time people want a meal plan. If they want a meal plan, I say, okay, so if you want to eat extra over the weekend, this is your meal plan for the week. What you can do is take out some carbs and fats from some of these days and put them towards your weekend calories. It depends, but I don't usually do that unless I get asked for it from my girls. So, yeah, I hope that helps a little on how a calorie deficit sometimes doesn't equal to weight loss or fat loss. So weight loss, obviously, because weight versus fat, but fat loss, you're probably overestimating your calorie expenditure or underreporting or not tracking your food.